It's time for the Shadow the Hedgehog review for the Gamecube. When I first heard of this game, I thought it'd be kinda cool. Then when I heard more about it, my impressions turned negative. And then when I actually got to play the game, they went south even more. So let's find out why. The story of this game is about Shadow, of course. It deals with finding out just exactly who he is and what his purpose is for. In the beginning of the game, Shadow is standing outside of a city, when all of a sudden, black aliens start appearing out of the sky and start attacking the city. As Shadow ignores them, an alien named Black Doom appears before him, stating that Shadow needs to find the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Hinting that bringing them to Black Doom will reveal Shadow's past, Shadow heads towards the city in search of them. The game's main principle is like a regular Sonic game. You know, getting from point A to point B using your speed. Fun, right? However, in several ways, the game just doesn't stick to what a Sonic game should play like, but we'll get to that in a bit. So as you start a level, or usually play about 5 to 15 seconds into it, you will have the choice on which mode you will want to play, between Normal, Hero, and Dark. In Normal mode, you will get to the end of the level by fighting off any kind of enemy and obtaining a Chaos Emerald at the end. In Hero mode, Sonic or a Sonic character will join up with you near the beginning of the level and tell you what you need to do, such as killing off all the black aliens in the level. In Dark mode, Black Doom will accompany you as you progress and will give you directions on what you need to do in the level, such as killing off every gun unit in the level or setting off a certain number of bombs in the level. Now the thing is, depending on which mode you choose to accomplish within each level, the story will be changed up. Not by a lot, but some. This map shows you which stages you will play, depending on which mode you complete in each level. This is a great setup for replayability. But replayability isn't all that great if the game isn't fun to play, and that's usually the case with this game. I don't understand what happened. SA1, SA2, and Sonic Heroes all had, in my opinion, great gameplay, due to great controls and mechanics, and at a minimal, a decent camera. But that's not what I found in Shadow the Hedgehog, which doesn't make sense, since this game precedes the first 3. Why fix something that's not broken? To begin with the flaws, the mechanics of this game can just be so frustrating. It's not necessarily that the controls are bad, even though Shadow's homing attack can mess you up, it's the mechanics of the game. Moving Shadow around feels like you're constantly skating on ice, which can seriously throw you off and make it difficult when you're trying to get through the level. The camera can be very frustrating. It will give you awkward viewing angles, and mixing it with Shadow's ice skating can end with you getting damaged or even dying. The newest feature that probably most people saw at first was that now you can take out enemies with guns. Guns? Really? Why in the world would you need guns while playing? If you're playing as Dr. Robotnik, then I guess I could understand. But seriously? When did the homing attack become boring? Now, if you haven't played this yet, the atmosphere of the whole game is dark. I mean, darker than a regular Sonic game usually is, and adding in the use of guns is supposed to add to the dark character of the game. The problem for me is, it's so abstract from what a Sonic game is. This isn't Resident Evil, or Halo, or Counter-Strike, it's a Sonic game. No, you don't get to play as Sonic, but you know what I mean. Anyway, the gun element, in my opinion, is just pointless. Yes, you do need to use it sometimes in some of the levels, but for me, it's just not that fun. There really isn't a targeting system. There kinda is, but not really. It can get annoying and frustrating trying to shoot down enemies who aren't right in front of you. To add to the darkness of the game, not only Shadow, but other Sonic characters use swearing. Again, what's the point? It's completely unnecessary, and for me, kind of ruins the Sonic world in a disappointing way. Now, they don't use extreme swearing, but still, it's just not needed. The graphics were pretty good. It was very Sonic Adventure 2. It was hard to tell whether or not it was better or worse or even the same as SA2. I honestly thought Sonic Heroes had better graphics. Not really an issue, but I think it could have been a little better. The voice acting was actually pretty good in some parts. However, the voice actress for Rouge was just blah. Stoic much? It seemed like she had virtually no emotion. Doesn't affect the gameplay, but it's still annoying. Nevertheless, I'd say the overall voice acting was pretty good. The level designs were mostly disappointing. It was more jumping and platforming rather than speeding down a path. And when you did get to speed down a path, it would sometimes seem like enemies would pop out of nowhere and hurt you if you touched them. Shadow's supposed to be fast, but his speed is not demonstrated well in this game. The boss battles weren't too bad. Some of them were pretty fun. However, due to Shadow skating on ice and the homing attack not working properly a good amount of the time, the boss battles weren't as fun as they seemed like they could have been. You have 2 gauges at the top left and right of the screen. These gauges will fill up depending on which enemies you destroy. If you kill off human soldiers, the left gauge will fill up, and if you kill off the black enemies, the right gauge will fill up. When a gauge is full, you will be able to perform either Chaos Control, which will let you fly through the air at super fast speeds, or slow or stop time during boss battles, or perform Chaos Blast, which will cause a big powerful explosion surrounding Shadow, which can do high damage to all enemies within range. Alright, to be fair, I admit this game can be fun at points. It's not horrible. It is fun enough to keep playing the levels over again to see where the game takes you when you complete a different mode. Some might say that the game just has a steep learning curve. I don't really agree with this though. It feels like the game was rushed. I wish the developers paid more attention to fixing the flaws. Shadow the Hedgehog is not very good. Due to frustrating controls, frustrating mechanics, and a frustrating camera, this game is just frustrating. Now, I do admit that it can be fun at points, and there is a high amount of replayability, but most of it feels like work rather than fun. It feels rushed, and several elements of the game are just not what a Sonic game, or a Sonic spin-off, if you will, should feel like. Now, if you like this game, that's totally fine. I'm happy that you enjoy it. I'm a bit confused if you do, but that's your opinion. In my opinion, though, I just don't really like it. This game gets a 2.5 out of 5 with the title of bad.
Perfect.